From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
Right now on KPIX and streaming on CBS News Bay Area, BART on the brink. In the next hour, we'll dig deep into the problems that plague the transit system and the solutions that could put it all back on track.
We need them to get their act together, and so far, it's not a pretty picture.
Ridership and revenue are way down, but that hasn't put the brakes on building. We'll tally up the newest estimate for BART's big expansion into downtown San Jose. Plus, passengers on edge. Many say they don't feel safe on board. You'll hear BART's police chief explain what they're doing to ease those fears. And what does the future have in store for BART? We hear potential solutions, and we explore what a Bay Area would look like without BART. Good morning. Today is Saturday, November 11th. I'm Max Darrow. Thanks for starting your day with us. Let's start with a quick look at today's top stories. As war rages in the Middle East, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is pushing back against calls to further protect Palestinian civilians. He says, quote, "The responsibility for any harm to civilians lies with Hamas." His remarks come after attacks on Gaza's largest hospital. Israel says Hamas has its main command center located directly underneath that hospital. But that hospital also holds thousands of patients and evacuees. Doctors there say 5 patients died today after the hospital's last generator ran out of fuel. The APEC conference kicks off today in San Francisco. 21 heads of state will be arriving for talks at Moscone Center. And during the week-long conference, you can expect some major traffic delays in parts of the city. That includes closures around Moscone, Nob Hill, the Legion of Honor, and the Exploratorium. President Biden will be in San Francisco for APEC to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping. The two leaders will talk about multiple issues, including reopening military communication between the two countries, election interference, and fentanyl production. The leaders of the world's 2 largest economies have not met face-to-face since last November at the G20 summit.
Starting off the weekend with cool temperatures this morning, but appropriately cool for this time of year, and we are going to see plenty of sunshine, some passing high clouds, and warmer than average temperatures today and again on Sunday. Then things start to change. Increasing clouds Monday, and a storm system is going to be sending a much better rain chance into the Bay Area by the middle of next week. In the short term, while we're waiting for that unsettled pattern to develop, temperatures today making it up to anywhere from 2 to 5 degrees above average, mostly 60s near the water with 70s inland.
This morning, we are taking a deep dive into the BART system, exploring challenges the transit agency faces as it looks to move forward. And to start things off, we need to go back 51 years. In 1972, BART launched service in the Bay Area with a promise to take transportation into the future. But a lot has changed since then, and now the agency is struggling to lure riders onto trains. So what happened? Our coverage today begins with John Ramus looking back at BART's history.
It was in 1947 that a joint Army-Navy report was released recommending that some kind of tube or tunnel be built under the bay to transport troops or material if something should happen to the bridges. From it, the dream of BART was born. As the years went by, the concern was no longer about moving troops, but about moving cars.
The Bay Bridge was already, packed every morning with cars, and so there had to be a way to relieve that because there was, people weren't going to be able to get across the bridge anymore.
Mike Healy wrote the book on BART, literally. As unofficial historian and a longtime spokesman for the agency, he was there in 1972 when the system first started operating, and says those were heady times for the engineers who approached the challenge as if it were a moonshot.
BART was the first all-new rail rapid transit system to be built in this country since 1907. So it was considered the space-age system at the time, and it was very exciting.
The unofficial slogan among planners was "Pamper the Passenger," and magazine ads across the country trumpeted the comfort of this Tomorrowland ride, promising safe, relaxing travel.
These are the amenities that give people a new kind of transit experience.
I think it was, a very exciting time for the public and the riding public, and they seemed to accept it. There are always little problems, but they seemed to accept it, and ridership grew.
Did it ever? As the population of the East Bay grew, BART cars became cramped at commute hours, and with more people came more problems. Riders had to put up with rude, antisocial behavior and open drug use in aging cars that were often dirty and smelled bad. And then the pandemic hit, and people suddenly felt they had other options.
We have deep concerns about BART. It's lost about 60% of its average daily riders.
Jim Wunderman is CEO of the Bay Area Council, an organization that laid the framework for BART back in the 1950s. He says over the years, the BART board has become focused on various social equity issues, establishing policies that have diminished safety on the trains. He says a recent poll shows that customers are avoiding BART for that reason.
The public doesn't see BART as a social service agency. They're not looking for BART to solve the world's problems. They're looking for BART to provide safe, clean, reliable transit. And I think that to some degree, the board got off in some other directions and, needs to really focus on those things, do those things well, and you're going to win people back.
So has an agency that runs on rails managed to take a wrong turn? Many believe so, but it still has an important role to play in connecting the Bay Area, and there are those who appreciate that.
I've been out here like 10 months. I'm from Louisiana. And they don't have anything like this out there. It's a good little system. Y'all just don't know what y'all have out here. You should enjoy it, use it.
Mike Healy agrees.
Not all cities have anything close to what BART is like. Now, I think the Bay Area is very lucky to have had BART over the years.
The promise still exists, even if not fully delivered. But to convince riders to return, most agree that something big needs to happen to get BART back on track.
So from those early days, BART's model to keep its finances on track was seen as a model of sustainability. Ridership drove revenue. But it was a model that went right off the rails during the pandemic, and BART hasn't been able to fully recover. Take a look at this. Mostly empty parking lots at BART stations. The video you're looking at was taken in the East Bay in June, and the situation hasn't improved that much since. Fewer riders means less revenue, which means less money to pay for the improvements, which could be crucial in winning back more riders. It's a pretty tough cycle there. So our Lauren Toms takes a closer look at why BART's revenue structure that was once key to its success has been a critical part of its collapse.
Once celebrated for its financial independence, BART is now facing a financial crisis, in large part because of just that, its dependence on riders.
Every afternoon I see the traffic slow down on 24, and I'm just super glad that that's not me.
Pamela Harold takes BART to work every day. She's tasked with keeping BART's budget balanced, and it's no easy feat as BART's ridership plummeted during the pandemic and hasn't fully bounced back.
It is disappointing. We're still very important to the Bay Area.
But the question of returning ridership is a problem without a clear solution. People can't be forced to take BART as more people work from home.
We are about $300 million short in fare revenue. But the interesting thing is that puts us in line with just about every other transit operator in North America.
In 2019, transit agencies across the nation recovered an average of 36% of their revenue from fares alone, as New York and Chicago Metro Transit agencies saw roughly 40% fare box recovery, according to the Federal Transit Authority. In 2022, that operating ratio hovered around 21%, but the challenge BART faces is relying less on rider revenue like other major transit agencies. Before the pandemic, BART was seen as a nationwide model of self-sufficiency. In 2019, fares accounted for 86% of total operating revenue and covered over 60% of its operational expenses. At the height of the pandemic, BART could only cover 7% of its operating expenses with fares. In 2022, that number climbed to just 17%. But even as ridership sank, the transit system continued operating at a high level, ready for communities to bounce back.
You have to make the adjustments to ensure your system is running efficiently and appropriately under the circumstances in which you find yourself. And BART didn't do that.
Senator Steve Glazer's district is home to 6 BART stations and a huge portion of BART's ridership. He's long been a watchdog of the massive transit agency, but is now a vocal critic.
We need them to get their act together, and so far, it's been not a pretty picture.
And some riders agree. Phil Maisel used to ride BART regularly a decade ago, but today chooses to ride sparingly, like to get to the airport.
I try to avoid it, to be honest. To me, like an awkward system because it's not very efficient, like for getting in and around the city of San Francisco.
He says since the pandemic, the biggest improvement he's seen is the carts themselves, and rider Eddie agrees. He and his dog London take BART at least once a week with no plans to stop, but he says his biggest concern lies with security.
It's good. Yeah, we got new trains and, they feel a little more secure.
BART leadership widely agreed to sustain operations and continues to withhold cuts despite strikingly low ridership.
I do not support staff taking the time to look at a 10% cut across the board for operations.
Absolutely not.
The pandemic was not of their choosing. It happened. But what they failed to do was make any of the adjustments in the system with the collapse of ridership.
And the spending didn't stop. Transportation and maintenance expenses have exceeded $550 million since 2018, topping $650 million in 2022. After receiving a federal bailout that's expected to dry up in mid-2024, the system moved forward with existing capital projects like a $90 million Fairgate program.
And it's very exciting. I think it's a game changer for BART. It's the #1 capital project that we have at BART right now.
One aimed at boosting ridership, says infrastructure manager Sylvia Lamb, and combating fare evasion that BART said accounted for up to $25 million annually in lost revenue pre-pandemic. But it's projects like these that BART is confident will bring back riders, again putting their self-sustaining model in the spotlight.
The biggest thing is to bring riders back, and if they feel safer and it looks cleaner, and that we feel like we're going to get more ridership back.
It's a high-risk, high-reward scenario, one nobody could have seen coming.
It's just this very thorny problem that we spend every day trying to solve.
Harold says that BART is working to change the revenue model away from dependency on riders, but it could still have taxpayers footing the bill down the tracks.
BART is the backbone of the Bay Area. We touch 5 counties. There's not one single solution. It's all going to come together as a package.
That backbone fighting for use across the Bay Area, keeping trains and residents moving forward.